fun stuff. Instagram's over here. We're gonna drop this in the thing. Boom. Let me go put that thing up on that thing. Let me go pin that thing. Go pin that thing. What's up, Sour Cherry Yoga? Peace and love. SOS Kitchen. Shakira. Route Yoga. We about to get started with tonight's book club. We're reading The Only Way Out Is In. It has been my jammy jam for these past few weeks. So give you a minute to, get some tea. I got some floating yogi tea just sitting there chilling, waiting for me. And listen to the sounds. Because you can catch these on all streaming platforms. Just go check it out. The Floating Yogi. My boy Ahmed's on it too. Doing shit. Alright, what else we got? Let me push this mic a little bit closer. Get some chapstick for my lips so they're not super crisp. And then I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna pay some bills. We get started. How y'all feeling? Where y'all from? Where y'all from? Yeah, y'all too Twitch. Oh, the camera's down here. Y'all too Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and all of those other streaming platforms. All right. So, like I mentioned before, we're reading The Only Way Out Is In. Oh, out of this world, right? By the way, this broadcast is brought to you by UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, redefining how we see health and wellness in our community and creating a different staple. And this book is actually like a perfect starting ground for that. What it does is it takes yoga, tantra, and Ayurveda and breaks it down into palatable terms, things that we can actually digest, things that make sense. And then it gives us ways that we can apply them to our day-to-day life. Monday night is the book club. Tuesday night we flow it out. We get some of that movement happening. Thursday we have the midday meditations. We're back 12 o'clock making it happen and take a moment through the middle of the day just to reflect, clear out the mind space so you're able to move forward with a little bit more direction and a little bit more ease. Then there is Saturday, which is Floating Flow. We take all the shenanigans we worked on through the week, throw them in a mixing pot, we stir it up, and then we just flow it out. So that's what happens Saturday. Sunday, we are here in UE Center for Elevated Sift and Flow. So we'll meditate, we'll do some breath work, we'll sift, and we'll flow. And, if you got a little tree to blow, that's good to go. Hey, come on now, get it if you with it. Okay, let me start this here broadcast. So today, we're on page 137 on Ashtanga Yoga, the Sutras of Patanjali. Let me go and put this on, as a matter of fact. I wish I had a camera crew. We could zoom in on me, putting the pin in, right? Ooh, nice and secure. We on that thing. Let's get it. All right, let's see. Ashtanga Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali are 196 simple yet profound statements on the yogi's journey within. The root source of all of our suffering is the incessant mind. This mechanism of mind is based on the dead past and has been put in place very early in your life. Patanjali describes very accurately, step by step, how to be free of this attachment to the mind. He alerts us that the mind is just a tool to observe. He lays out the direction of how to be more conscious. He doesn't say anything about controlling the mind, since that would be the mind coming in through the back door and controlling itself. He says observe it. So this is real important and impactful when it comes to meditation, because I know a lot of people preach this concept of control your mind, or the monkey mind is wild and you need to wrangle it in or pull it in like a dog on a leash so it's not chasing after every squirrel that comes by. So these are some of the metaphors that I've seen represent the mind. And once we put those constraints on it, then we're tailoring how it says, like, we're sending the mind in through the back door trying to control it. Because then we're in that mental state of, I have power, I'm going to exert my power to manipulate, adjust, fix, change, whatever reality is. So, instead of trying to control it, it's just observe it. And that's where that SIF meditation we were talking about, the elevated sift and flow that comes here on Sundays. If you're in DC, stop on through. Tickets on my website now. Come on. Hey. And what it allows, that SIF meditation allows us to have a point of focus. So whenever we do get distracted and get lost, we have something that we can come back to that's center line. So maybe that is the breath, maybe it's the image that you have in your head, and then we allow ourselves to sift through those sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. Different ways we can categorize the experiences that we're having in this body. I'll continue. Patanjali guides us through the inner world the same way the master scientists would describe the phenomena of the outer world. Out of Patanjali's ancient texts, the basis of Ashtanga yoga was born. That's what I practice. Ashtanga, 8 limbs. Ashta, 8. Anga, limbs. Ashta, anga, 8 limbs of yoga. All right. As I mentioned in the Ayurveda section, Vedic knowledge was passed from teacher to student through sacred phrases known as sutras. As there were no pens and paper, learning was through the oral transmission via poetic Sanskrit slokas that the student chanted over and over again until they were committed to memory. So the student had access to them when it was needed. This was an exercise to remind the student of their own divine nature, originating from the words of their ancestral roots with the rishis. In each sutra, we encoded a deep message that supported the process of going within. This is how students learned in those days, which was sometimes true even today in India. In the first written definitive text of yoga, let us explore the process in which context of the modern day life. What's important to note here is that if you only learn the sutras, you'll only be able to repeat them back like a parrot. They lose their essence. They were intended as guidelines for one's life. Not their essence. They were, and not just to be memorized and chanted. So it's supposed to be like embodied. You feel it, you know, different ways. It's so ingrained in you. It's like those things that come to you in the moment that you knew you prepared for, but you didn't know how you were going to remember it in that moment. Like a test. But a real hard test. I digress. Let's get it. The first of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is quite profound. Om Atha Yoga Nushunnamam, which translates to now the discipline of yoga begins. Now, not yesterday or tomorrow, but now. He says, be open, be here now. Be disciplined to have the capacity to discover something new about oneself. Notice the connection between the discipline and the disciple. A disciple is one who is open and receptive to explore themselves. The sutra begins with the sound Om. Every book or prayer you read from the Vedas always starts with Om and ends with Om. It is a way of creating space for whatever follows. When you chant Om, you move into space, as it is said that Om represents the sound or vibration of the universe. After all, there's no place like Om. Ha 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 ha. Funny joke in the book. There's no exact meaning to it since it is meant to be a nonsensical word. It symbolizes various aspects of consciousness, but mostly is a sound that reverberates the space and creates a mood of silence. The absence of sound, if it represents anything, it represents time and space, which doesn't really exist anyway. The true beauty of it is that it takes you above and beyond the mind, and this is what the ancient rishis' intention was. So I look at Om, yes, I do see it as those aspects, and it does embody different aspects of consciousness, which we'll go in a little bit later. I do believe he touches on it in the book. If not, I'll bring it up in like another later chat, when we vibing. But I look at it, Om, as the 3 bass sounds the human vocal cords can make without the use of the tongue. The 3 bass sounds, if we don't have the articulation of the tongue, so think about people who don't have that articulation of the tongue, missing their tongue or deaf. What sounds do they make? Ah, and And how the elements allegedly came into being, it was a soundless sound, that rippled the ether. And that rippling of the ether showed the Rishi's air. As it blew across, that rippling of the ether vibrated together so much it started to create heat, and then we got fire. Those cosmic particles that started to burn and melt, then we got water. Then it's so cold out there. There is no, sun giving it heat directly right there, so then it solidified and we got earth. So this is how the five elements came to be, or the four base elements came out of ether from the soundless sound on. There's some more fun stuff to this. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to chop it up a little bit later and see how deep we can go with this. All right. The second sutra sums up the entire journey of what yoga is all about. Yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, which translated means yoga has the ability to quiet the mind. Note that it says has the ability to, not that the day you start doing yoga the mind game is over. Yoga creates the possibility, the situation to still the mind, right? So I know a lot of people ask me questions about like, oh yeah, I tried meditating, it's hard. Yeah, I understand that. It's going to be a continual process. And if it gets to the point where it's easy, maybe you should be sitting there until something stirs up, because the point of it is to be able to see ourselves a little bit differently. So when we're sitting there and it's like, nah, I can sit here and nothing comes up, you start to learn a little bit more about yourself out of your wants and your desires. You start to learn a little bit more about you. You can see yourself a little bit clearer. And me saying this doesn't really hold weight. It don't. I mean, I could talk all day, but it's an experience-based process. Like, you have to be a part of it. You have to be in it. You have to allow yourself to just submit respectful cooperation to whatever the guidelines are, wherever works for you, and then go with it. And then you'll start to see yourself differently. Otherwise, I'm just speaking the same daggone words that everybody else say. All right, let me take a sip. Ow! And we're going to get with it. The layers of karma, actions that you've accumulated in the past lives or this life, will determine how many veils are covering up the treasures revealed within the quieted mind. If you go deeper into the workings of the mind, you realize that the future happenings are repetitions of the past. We are simply repeating the past over and over again. A scary thought, but true. These karmas or actions, good or bad, have to be cleared. The answers lie in meditation, observing the workings of the mind in a relaxed way without judgment. I'm a pin right there. In a relaxed way without judgment. That's super important for us to maintain that type of mind space, so we're not reaffirming those negative thought patterns. It could be maybe a way that you think about yourself. Oh, I don't feel confident when I do, and then that moment comes up in our mind when we're meditating, and then we're like, oh, damn, yeah, I should always do this better, but I don't do it better. I'm just not that good. That is what needs to stop. That is what we're trying to become aware of to make these shifts. So those are the layers of karmas that they're talking about in some form. Let's see. Living from this place lets you clear the past programs because you are stepping outside of the realm of mind. Anything that leads you to yourself is considered meditation. So if you notice, I always say, sustained focus. Find something to focus on, and that's it. That's your point of reference. That's your point of focus. Notice when you get shifted. Anything that's going to bring you back to yourself, that's going to allow you to get lost and then come back. When in conversation, in life, we're doing something and then we're lost. We walk in the kitchen like, why the hell did I walk in the kitchen? And then we leave out the room and then come back. Same concept. We were able to pull ourselves back. Okay, you can create this within walking, eating, breathing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to pause after this one too. You can create this in walking, eating, breathing. Meditation is the art of witnessing everything. When you withdraw your awareness from everywhere and you just let it rest within yourself, you have arrived home. And a way to do that with walking, notice like where on your foot you're pressing. Start with the heel, find the arch of your foot where it's it's arched. If it's flat, find the hole, let that junk just swoop and worm over. Find the toes. Notice when the toes curl, when the toes don't curl, what toes crunch like they got spider toes, and which ones just be long, like the second toe that's longer than the big toe. All that fun stuff. But start learning what's happening with the body. Same with the breathing. One of the exercises I do is notice where you're breathing in your body. Is it more to the front of the chest? Is it more towards the back of the body? Is it more upper chest or is it more lower abdomen? Is it more to the side or the other side? And this just correlates to so many different parts of the body. A lot of times we feel like it stops just here, but the breath can flow all the way to our fingers, all the way to our toes. You can feel it too, especially in the practice. Oh my God. Once you're in there, the body's activated. You take one of the big breaths in like upward facing plank or a wheel. Oh my gosh, my toes, my fingers. All right, where we at on this thing? The action is not what counts. What does is the quality you bring to your actions. There are million and one illnesses of the body and mind, and yet one simple solution: meditation, the golden key. You hold it in your hands and always have with you. It's your presence, which meditation bestows upon you. In the disappearance of mind, the appearance of being occurs. Absence or presence, it's your choice. One or the other is happening. Both it cannot exist at the same time. You are either here now or there then. Ooh, you are either here now or there then. A whole nother place, a whole different time. Some shit for that ass. I had to sip this tea, this floating yogi tea. It'll be available on the website. Damn straight. Let's get it. Okay. Now, be focused on action and not the fruits of your labor. Do not become confused in attachment to the fruits of your actions, and do not become confused in the desire for inaction. Ooh, the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita be dropping some gems, and we were tagging on this a little bit on Thursday, the Midday Meditation, when we were talking about like loving your friends. I'm gonna make it awkward and all this other stuff. And then this slightly off topic, but we got into the concept about like friends being overly attached, and then we got to the point of, what was it? Allowing yourself to let go of those toxic friends that aren't really like helping you out, or the people in your life that are helping you out. They don't have to be friends. They can be associates. The week before that was calling them what they are. Because if they are these toxic things to you, are they really what you call them? I digress. That's for Thursday. We're in the book. We're in the book. The third sutra, Tada Dashrutu Svarupi Vastanam, means then the seer is established in oneself. Then the seer is established in oneself. Your little bit of consciousness is now established in the body as opposed to established in the world. We are very of the world type people. Just the way that everything has come to be, especially with social media. It's all about read, perceive this external input, take it in, as opposed to giving out. This is a very achievement-based world. So yeah, it means the seer is established in oneself. Here Patanjali states that the witnessing presence is experienced through yoga and available only when the mind is quiet and still. It is from this place one can live with grace and ease. Patanjali then goes on and describes in great detail the mind and how it operates. At this point, I'm going to select various passages that emphasize what I feel to be the essence of Ashtanga yoga. Patanjali talks about avidya, false knowledge, or ignorance. Ooh, that runs rampant. I'm guessing it hasn't changed in all these years. It also talks that avidya, that false knowledge or ignorance, it creates maya, which is an illusion. And the scriptures of yoga in Ayurveda and Tantra speak about this world being an illusion. Not that it physically doesn't exist, but that your mind creates the imagery around the world, around the word, blah, 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 blah. I gotta say that whole thing over. Scratch, rewind, wet the whistle. The scriptures of yoga, Ayurveda, and Tantra speak about this world being an illusion. Not that it physically doesn't exist, but that your mind creates an imaginary world around what the senses perceive. An imaginary world around what the senses perceive. Sight, taste, touch, hear, and sound. And what's the other one? Smell. That one. My worst one. Of course I'm not going to remember that. It's like the famous blockbuster movie The Matrix, which portrays this world within a world beyond what we can normally see. This is created from living outside of your samskars, or your past accumulated knowledge, and then projecting it into the future. Most of the time, we're not living in reality of what is, because we're not present. Oh my gosh. That's avidya, the root of causing suffering in this world. This was Buddha's basic premise in his life's teaching. Life is dukkha, or suffering, based on the illusionary dream made up in your mind. I'm gonna say that again. Life is suffering based on the illusory dream made up in your mind. So we can tell ourselves what it is that we want it to be, or what it is that we see, and believe it. I know tons of people who tell themselves lies about themselves all the time. Like, oh yeah, I'm the best at this. Oh, remember that time I beat you in this game? You never beat me in that game. Trust me, I'd be offended. And it'd be like that. They don't beat me in the game though. However, they tell themselves that to make them feel better. That's what I'm talking about. Now, we're on page 141. Ashtanga Yoga, a glimpse of the 8 limbs. So this one, we might get through these 20 pages, because this one is just, this part is hitting. This part is hitting. Or we might break it up. I'll see. I'm going to check in the comments on both of them. I got the mouse here for the multiple ones. For IG, I got to get off my cheeks and see what's in there. But wherever you're from, drop where you're from in the comments. I'm going to go check it out in a minute after we get through the start of what the yamas are. Yeah, the start of what the yamas are. Because I have some giveaways coming. And plenty of product. Do you care enough about your mental space to meditate today? Or are you bullshitting on your greatness? Ooh. Okay. Ashtanga Yoga. A glimpse of the 8 limbs. Yamas. Ashtanga means 8 limbs or steps. The first is called Yama, which is defined by self-restraints or containing, managing your energy. Yamas describes opportunities for you to look introspectively and notice where energy is leaking. So one of the issues that we have in our community, we haven't really been given a whole bunch of self-development tools and techniques and guidelines, or things that have actually been proven outside of something that we took and recreated. This, oh my God, it sets the basis for you. Did you even hear the words? I'm going to say it again. Yamas describe opportunities for you to look introspectively and notice where energy is leaking. That's the purpose of these. They're magical. So when you're trying to clear up karma, you can see how much karma you're creating in your day-to-day activities and make adjustments. Okay. By observing the yamas, you build a reserve of energy that allows you to respond rather than react to life. This is needed to grow and to ascend. There are 5 yamas. There's ahimsa, non-violence; asteya, non-stealing; satya, truthfulness; aparigrahya, non-possessiveness; and most importantly, brahmacharya. This one is a little iffy on the translation. However, going in direction of God. I like to look at it in faith in something higher than yourself. If we are to give ourselves in something, in our all, and to understand what our all even is, we have to have a belief in something higher than us, or else we're going to do whatever we can to the point of preserving ourselves. Which means those extra bicep curls, you're not going to get those last few bicep curls that tear the muscle fibers and allow it to regrow stronger, right? So we need to have something that will allow us to expand ourselves and exert what it is that we need to do to break through to that new level. And Brahmacharya, it says going in the direction of God. I look at it as sexual restraint. They say celibacy, sexual restraint, however you want to look at it. We're going to touch on it a little bit more in the book. He be dropping on there. And this also plays into the Tantra. So all those people who be talking about like Tantra yogas, oh, it's sex, it's sensual yoga. No. That's ignorant speaking. We were just talking about that in the end of the last chapter. People creating that avidya and that law, and people talking about people talking with avidya, creating that maya, talking with false knowledge and ignorance, creating that illusion, not just to themselves, but to other people as well. All right, so we go a little bit deeper. Each yama helps to create an upward spiral of energy. We are moving towards the direction of God. Then a sin, is anything that takes us away from this journey upward. It's distracting us from going within. Each yama is a way of instructing the yogi on managing his or her energy. So again, it's not a rule, it's just a guideline. Hey, give this a shot, see what happens, see what rocks with you. The first is ahimsa, which means not to harm any living being, especially oneself. There's no need to torture you or anyone in the name of spirituality, because violence in any form leaves you feeling exhausted. The second, and I'll tap in a little on that because that was kind of fast. So that also goes in the form of nonviolence towards yourself, in the form of how I was talking earlier. You start replaying those things when you're beating yourself up in your mind. Yeah, that right there, cut that shit. That's not nonviolent. Just because you're not doing it to another person, you're doing it to yourself. That's becoming more centered within yourself. What was that phrase that he said? Oh, I'm gonna go back for it. Being centered in oneself. Yeah, that was it. Being centered in oneself. Yeah. Let's see. Another form of violence. Yeah, we know about hitting all that shit. Blah 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 blah. Moving on. The second is asteya, which means when you take something which is not rightfully yours, it will weigh on you heavily on your mind, and it'll pull you down. And that's like stealing. You don't want anything stolen from you, so why would you steal from someone else, right? You don't want to put out that energy because you don't want to get it back. Not to say it will happen directly to you. Maybe it happens to somebody close to you and it ruins it for them. And then you start feeling bad about it and you're like, dang, I did put that other person in that situation. Or you just don't see it and see that and start to respond with anger and aggression. There's so many different paths that we could take on this road. I'm gonna keep going. Then there's satya. Satya, or truthfulness, is a virtue that frees your mind. Lying is one of the most energy-consuming of all acts. Telling one lie leads to you telling many more to cover up the original lie. That's facts on a billion. And not even just trying to cover up the lie. If you tell the lie to somebody and then their friends, and then you're friends with one of their friends and they tell their friend and you didn't think about it, and then you tell them a different story. And then they fact check you right there. Oh, well, so-and-so said you did this. And then you look like a liar. Then you look dumb. Then your word getting a little bit more shaky. So it's like, why do I even want to think about who they could have told this lie to? Why not just be my authentic self? And that's where this comes in. Then there is aparigrahya, the fourth yama. And it can be explained as not grasping anything, person, place, or thing. Non-possessiveness. It will also pull you down because if you're holding on to anything, that creates suffering. So I like to look at this with a grain of salt. When we say non-attachment, that doesn't mean don't care about the people close to you, don't care about the things that help you to maintain your sense of homeostasis, your sense of normality. We're not saying don't care about your dog or if you eat today, or what it's saying is don't be too attached that you yourself suffers for the sake of someone else. Not to say, and then see, this is where minds can go fun. Because you can also say, you know what, I'm not going to do this for you because it would make me tired on a day that I am, all right, then don't do it. If you're going to respond with anger, then you might want to do it because you coming at me with something. I didn't give you all that. Let's see. And people sometimes just need to chill out. We was talking about the friends and everything. Sometimes you need to shack them off real quick so you get some fresh ones in and then really see what was going on. Was it you? Was it them? If not, and it was them, go back, apologize, drop the ego to the side. It's not about ego. It's about assessing the situation and making the best move for you in that moment, and not trying to necessarily say, I'm doing this spiteful of this, and I'm doing this inconsiderate of someone else. Taking their feelings, other people's feelings, and situations into account, and then just moving forward. And the last one, Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya sums up all the yamas by saying, if we are to move in the direction of God, you must be attentive to your energy. Most of the time, this world interpreted as celibacy. A natural celibacy is considered true brahmacharya, but a forced one is destructive. That's just what I'm saying. Having said that, it is important to remember that if you are living life a yogic way with awareness, there is no need for rules like yamas, because harmony with the natural order of the universe will be effortless. I understand where he's getting with that, with the harmony of the rest of the world will be effortless. However, I'm gonna be real with you. There's reasons for it, because if you don't have a code of ethics and you go to a whole nother place that, if you have a code of ethics, and you go to a whole nother place that doesn't, how safe would you feel? If you go to a place where murder was legal, where the purge was a daily situation, how safe would you feel? So, rules and guidelines and understanding guidelines, they do make sense. I see why they're important. All right. And I get what he's saying, though, as far as like when you're truly in tune and in flow, you don't have to think of these things, because it's just like when you came out your mom, you knew not to go after, not to kill. You knew not to beat up your mom, to hit your mom. Like, these things are just, it can be pretty simple. If you just let it be, it's really simple to complicate things, but it's kind of challenging to simplify a complex topic. So, people are constantly looking for gurus outside themselves to tell them what to do. The word guru means someone who shines light where there is darkness. The ultimate guru and light is inside oneself, your inner guru. Moving to the center of your being will then give you direction. This only happens by taking full responsibility and walking through the doorway of meditation. Meditation does not help you to be a Buddha. It only helps you to be aware of your Buddhahood. Living masters are examples to show us what is possible. But ultimately, we need to find our own way. A guru can tell you about Ashtanga yoga or meditation, but ultimately, we have to travel the path alone, or as I like to say, all one, which is a very different feeling than loneliness. So he was saying all alone, ALLONE, or all one. You see what the anagram was there? It's kind of cool. He be doing some fun stuff. So that's the yamas. We gonna stop at asana today. Well, I don't know. We might float through asana. I don't care. Yamas. Niyamas means fixed observances. So the first 5 is the yamas. The second 5 are the niyamas. The yamas and niyamas are like the 10 commandments, or maybe the 10 commandments came from the yamas and niyamas. I'm just saying. Niyamas means fixed observances, or adhering to discipline with regularity. When you hear discipline, what do you usually think of? It may invoke a feeling of rigidity inside. It may, enforcement or obligation. Everything we do with this concept of discipline feels like a job, but in truth, it isn't. The literal translation of discipline is to have the capacity to discover something new about oneself. I think that it's a better way to interpret discipline. The hardest part about any practice is to show up. And when you stand on your yoga mat and you're in the space of openness to discover something new, niyamas means the ability to come back to your practice again and again without force or rigidity. Approaching life this way will invoke a totally different energy than the usual mechanical approach. I thoroughly agree with that, because in that discipline of doing that same practice over and over, doing that practice, just showing up to the mat regardless of what it is. Oh, I'm tired. All right, I'm still on the mat. I might not do my whole practice. I might just get like 3 sun salves in and then just lay down for savasana. That might be it. But it's me carving out the time in my day, carving out the time in my life for me, for this betterment, for this growth, to see what's going on. And I mean, damn, it's an experience thing. I'm not able to, I can say fluffy words and shit, but it's not going to do anything than compared to how it feels, like how that space feels. Once you're in that, oh man, you get done with it on one of those days you don't feel like actually doing it, and you get up and you're like, wow, I feel amazing. All right, now, and then everything just starts flowing to you. At least to me, I feel like a straight magnet for whatever's in that third eye, in that mental space. Just comes to me. Come to me. I digress. All right. Everything we do. The hardest part of any practice is to show up. Okay, I've been practicing Ashtanga yoga for 30 years, and every day I start my practice fresh. There's always something new for me to uncover. It becomes an adventure, an inner exploration. If I did it mechanically, then it would be boring. Einstein makes an excellent point by saying, if A equals success, then the formula is A equals X plus Y plus Z. X is work, Y is play, and Z is keep your mouth shut. So, success equals work, play, and keeping your damn mouth shut. Facts on a million. You don't have to tell everybody what you're doing till it's damn near done. And then they can hop on the bandwagon, keep pushing that momentum. Let's keep flowing. Let's keep growing. Let's see. You can relate this to your practice. Practice is some work, some play, and if you keep your mouth shut and just do it, you're guaranteed success. There are 5 aspects to the Niyamas. Saucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranadana. Saucha is cleanliness, inside and out, and there's ways to keep your mind and body clean and clear throughout the day. Daily baths, asana, which are the poses, the postures, practice, brushing your teeth, eating pure and whole foods, keeping your thoughts and deeds pure. And ways to keep your mind pure is meditation. That's a form of just sitting there, letting things process, letting things play out, and then from there moving forward. Like, all right, I'm up, I let everything play out, so now I won't be recycling and processing old experiences while new ones are happening to me. Ooh, we're gonna get a quick pause on what? Instagram tried to play some games. They tried to cut off the transmission and wouldn't let me post it. Don't worry, I got it on YouTube and all other streaming platforms. FloatingYogi.com. If you want to be a part of the discussion, ask me questions, hop in the Zoom room, thefloatingyogi.com. You can use next week's link, and then we'll just tap right back in. Let me get up. Watch out! I see some comments coming through. What it do? Hey, what's up, Blue Bird? Shit, hey, bird. Gee, what's up, Cool Relax Yogi? And Faith? Alright, let's get this. We gotta get through these Niyamas. We gotta get through the Niyamas. Alright. So that is Saucha, cleanliness, inside and out. The next one is Santosha, and that's contentment. And that's to be at rest within oneself. Contentment never comes by accumulating more things. It's an inner fulfillment that you have all you need. The feeling is one of deep satisfaction of being whole and complete. So I want to touch a little bit more on Santosha's contentment, because contentment is super, super critical for how we move. So I be talking with G, and she finally in the chat. You can drop some hearts, G. Yeah. I be talking with G, and I remember we was rapping like a few years ago, and she was like, "Damn, yo, some of these girls be thirsty," and I was like, "What do you mean?" And then this was around the time I was reading this book for the first time. I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, they be thirsty, yo," and I was like, "What does that mean?" Oh, and I started to tie it into a place from the book. I was like, yeah, because if you come from a place of thirst, whatever you need, you're going to be a little bit more desperate than you actually are for it. But if you're coming from a place of contentment, a place of I don't need anything else, but I'm doing this just out of pure want, and I understand my limits on what I'm willing to give to get it, that is a much more powerful place. Contentment. Not I'm here and I don't care about anything else. I'm here, I'm fine here. However, I want that. I'm willing to give up these two. Don't ask for nothing else. I'm willing to give up these. And then we see what's up. So, then we have tapas. Tapas is purification or fire, and it's generated from the intensity of your spiritual practices. And that is like, so I see this all the time, yo. And when I tell you it is irksome as explicate, the lack of effort is astonishing to me. And that's the tapas, that's the fire, that's the effort I'm willing to give to get what it is I want. That means I got 300 some pages in the book, but I'm only willing to give 2 to get what I really want. I'm saying I need it. Now, you better be ready to give that whole book for what you want, if you really want it. So it's just a different, and then there's balances. Sometimes you don't have to go 100%. Sometimes it's 70%. But if you look around and you see someone always giving like 30%, and then they start complaining about why things don't happen their way, those are those toxic friends we were talking about the week before last that you should and keep it moving. All right, next one. Swadhyaya entails the study of scriptures or spiritual practice. The study of scriptures and observing oneself, whether it's through yogic disciplines of conscious breathing, meditation, breath work, watching your thoughts and feelings, meditation, breath work, experiencing your body, meditation, or mantras, meditation. Notice how I didn't say much poses, right? It's meditation. Do you care enough about your mental space, come on now, to meditate today, or are you bullshitting on your greatness? Check them out on the website. I got blue ones now. All right. So those scriptures, I like to look at as they can be, maybe it's the Bible, maybe it's the Quran, maybe it's the Vedas, maybe it's the Bhagavad Gita, maybe it's what's that love language book with the love languages in it? Maybe it's a book about who knows, whatever self-help book really speaks to you, whatever. It don't even have to be a self-help book. For me, a lot of times it was anime. I'm watching these anime and watching them like, I'm gonna do this because this is what matters to me. My friends, my family, da da da. And they're like fighting and beating up the world and everything, blowing up the world and getting their arm chopped off. I'm like, dang, they getting their arm chopped off for what they want. They fighting like a mug for what they want. I'm over here cushiony as a mug in this third world country. Let me get some tapas up under me and get moving, right? You see how it all plays in? And then it's embracing the words and wisdom of those who have gone before us, giving the verification that we're on the right track. You are then left rooted in the experience of the one who looks out from your eyes, the source from all that is. Ultimately, here is where you want to live. And finally is Ishvana Pranadaya, which is surrender to God. This last Niyama is the most important one. It is surrendering to God, the universe, existence, creator, source, the great white spirit, Allah, Jehovah, the Lord of the Rings, whichever one really speaks to you. Whatever name you come up with to symbolize the energy which is greater than self, when you're able to relinquish the need to identify with what you're doing, then it frees you up to enjoy the show. So this taps into what we were speaking on a while ago. When it should still be up, just go on and check the IG lives. We were talking about the 4 dimensions of the mind, and which is buddhi, which is intellect, ahankara, which is identity, manas, which is memory, and chitta, we don't have an American word for, but I akin to flow state. So those 4 aspects of the mind that surrendering to God, surrendering to a source, surrendering to a system, something greater than yourself, allows us to kind of be in that state of chitta, that state of flow, where we can sit back, and if you're like a dancer, oh, I want to do this next and that next, and you're in the perfect space to execute it. If you're a lyricist or a singer or something, maybe it's singing, oh, I know exactly what I want to say, how I want to express it, you can actually get action in it as acting in it as opposed to just like singing it. There's so many different ways that the flow state can engage in a just reality. But we have to have something to let go in. See what I'm saying? Surrender to God, the universe, the Lord of the Rings. All right, let's see. You understand that whatever we do, the final outcome is not in our hands. Making an effort without letting go leaves you only creating more ties to oneself. The notion that there is something to do is a false idea created by our egos. We are all merely an instrument of the divine. Yama and Niyama are similar to the 10 Commandments of living. When you adhere to these observations, you develop strong roots. They create a foundation for the ascension process, and if they are not understood properly, there will be no way of getting off the ground. The cosmic joke is we seem to need some sort of method to get back to where we already are. Ashtanga is the process of waking up from the illusion of needing to go anywhere outside oneself ever. Facts. Patanjali compassionately guides us one step at a time to look within. So it's not a shock coming out of our deep sleep. It can be a shock. With this baby on the way, yo, the downloads, the wake-ups just be coming like this, like that. And I'm like, wow. Sometimes, like today felt like how it looked. I don't know what it looked like for you today, but it was a Monday of Mondays. I'm talking overcasty. I'm talking, even all the happy people I knew that I saw today, they were like, hey, what's up? I was like, damn, you normally like, can I get a little bit more energy than that? I just, I feel like I feel like now. Let's see. It's 10 Commandments, blah, 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 blah. Much internal energy is consumed when we misinterpret words. Fuck, I'm gonna say that again. Much internal energy is consumed when we misinterpret words. How much stress have you had from miscommunication? Someone thinking you said something when you said something different, or vice versa. I'm gonna say it one more time for those who are just tapping back in. Much internal energy is consumed when we misinterpret words. We know intuitively it doesn't feel right to think or act a certain way, yet we buy into what others say about it. We have created many dual patterns within, which keep us fighting within ourselves constantly. When this happens, everything starts to feel unclear. You begin to doubt your intuition and your own experiences of life. Therefore, it is good to step back and gather your energies and see what fits. Most of what we've learned is from others in society, making us believe there is only one way. We must recognize that the people we have revered the most, priests, rabbis, brahmins, and gurus, are the ones doing all the interpretations for us. Excuse me. They have set themselves up to be the mediator between God and the rest of us. They've created the confusion, and they seem to have the solution. Very clever. Aha! Yamas and Niyamas are the foundation for living in alignment from your heart. Niyamas is the next logical step to create regularity in your disciplined life. It may appear controlling when you use words like regularity, discipline, restraint, but this is only the device to positively redirect your energy. If you're taking it all too seriously, you've missed the point. The best way to know that you're on the right track or not is you having more fun, celebrating, laughing a lot, and enjoying life to the fullest, always. Yeah, I think we're going to hit this third limb. We're going to get through the first 3 limbs this week. And then we're going to come back and we're going to get the pranayama. We're going to get the pratyahara. We're going to jump into dharana, dana, samadhi. So we're going to get this last one in asana. Again, I'd like to thank Yogi, Urban Yogi Wellness and Education, for the sponsorship, for providing the platform for this. And we'll get into, he was talking a lot about Ashtanga yoga. We're flowing with that tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So if you want to be a part of that, drop in on the website, FloatingYogi.com, sign up. all my classes are by donation. It's about growing together. It's about community. It's about us creating a better future for the future and for ourselves. Shit, maybe we're going to get to enjoy a little bit of it before we go. Yeah, check that out. Last one, page 145, asana. The third limb is what we're all familiar with when we hear the word yoga. Typically, this brings to mind the image of someone wrapping their legs around their head or sitting in some sort of pretzel. The funny thing about this is that out of all the 196 Yoga Sutras, Patanjali refers to only 3 or 4 on asanas. I'll say that again for all of these people who could use some guidance. Typically, this brings to mind the image of someone wrapping their leg around their head or sitting in some sort of pretzel. The funny thing is about this that there is, out of the 196 Yoga Sutras, Patanjali refers to only 3 or 4 on asana, mainly the cross-legged seated position, which has created a firm yet relaxed posture for going deeper into oneself through meditation. This is the main purpose of asana. Rewind! This is the main purpose of asana. We're doing all these fancy poses so we can relieve tension in our body so we're more comfortable to sit and deal with the shit that goes on in our mind. That's the purpose of all the poses. Not to, I'm so flexible. The benefit, we can move through reality a little bit better. We know how to understand our body, which is the physical matter of how we engage with this world. So we can move through it better because we understand how our body works. We understand the tool that we have to get here and how that works. So it's just going to be easier. And we're also meditating, right? Getting the mind right, seeing how we move, right? So then we can see the patterns that our mind takes and know when to jump from one to the next, know when one is going down a destructive path and we have to switch off to find balance. Okay, I'm back on track. All right, this is the main purpose of asana, is to secure a platform for meditation. We have come to use this word asana as a definitive word representing yoga. The way Patanjali speaks about asana is where we end up after many years of hatha physical practice. So according to Patanjali, asana is a small step, but a pivotal one, since a strong foundation is needed for ascension. We have to be stronger in the body, so then we can take those energetic aspects that correlate to them, and then we can traverse the universe. The main sutra on asana is Sittara Sukham Asanam, which means when balanced in asana, a simultaneous feeling of opposite qualities is created. The quality of Sitra, the other one, is Sukha. Sitra is a feeling of strength, stability, and firmness. Sukha means happiness, lightness, and space. In asana, you want an experience to be rooted and grounded, yet firm, yet with a feeling of exhilaration and lightness. This is ideal, of course, and in the beginning, not always possible to have both. Only with restraint, yama, and regularity, niyama, can asana happen. Otherwise, sitting silently becomes an impossible task as the body is so restless it revolts. So if you're realizing like, oh, I have itches and twitches and all these movements that I want to do while I'm trying to meditate, that's part of it. That's part of the process. That's revealing to us what our journey to stillness actually is. So if you tap into our meditations, you'll hear me say things like, notice your journey to stillness. Notice those tweaks, those twitches, those moves. Allow you to do them. And over time, maybe you can start to lessen them because you created a little bit of space. Being in that space, being in that position over time allows us to build up the stamina and the awareness to just make little shifts. It can seem challenging in the beginning, but the more we do it, we build up that ability to make it a little bit easier. Let's see. It revolts. In another way that your mind will, one way or another, your body or mind will attempt to lure you out. Have you ever tried to sit for a long period of time in pure silence? Sounds pretty simple, but it's not that easy. The body-mind is always pulling you away from going within. Like a young child that doesn't want to listen or sit still. It resists by creating some kind of discomfort or distraction. The body is not ready to be disciplined. It is spoiled, lazy, and restless. The mind does the mind does the same trick by constantly chasing thoughts and feelings to divert you away from sitting in meditation or going within. Sips tea. Loud and ignorantly. The concept of asana can be a great boon, or, if not put into proper perspective, an obstacle. Frequently, people get involved with yoga by doing asana as an exercise, and then their egos expand from the practice because how they feel or look good from doing it. Dog, do you know how real that is? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It made me lose my place. I gotta go back. Whew. Alright. They also get quite accomplished at mastering advanced postures, again, which may boost their ego. My initial attraction was watching all these beautiful people practice, and I wanted to look like them. They radiated something I wanted, but if I had stopped there, I would have missed the whole point of asana. It is to keep the bodily temple healthy, free and clear of accumulated toxins, that Amma we were talking about last week. But most importantly, it serves as a platform for divine observation, prayer, and devotion. Imagine entering a temple that's filthy dirty inside and cobwebs hanging everywhere. How would that feel? Probably not real conducive for worship or meditation. The same thing is true for our living temples. Keep your temples fit, strong, in order to be able to sit and penetrate deep into the depths of your being. It takes tremendous energy to pierce the veil of illusion. The mind has such a strong hold on reality. If asana is not approached in this manner, it will remain just an interesting exercise that creates strength and flexibility. Moreover, it can create more attachment to the physical form. The secret behind asana is, if used correctly, shows us how to go beyond the physical. We can transcend it only when we go thoroughly into it. For those who are stuck doing asana purely as an exercise, I'm sorry that you are making an asana out yourself, an asana out yourself, an asana out yourself. Ha 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 ha. He be having the jokes in the jump. Continual presence is our best tool in the toolbox. Since we are only on our yoga mats for a few hours each day, what we do with the other 16 hours of our everyday living, one of the greatest consciousness exercises that I utilize is bringing my full awareness to whatever I'm doing. When I'm eating, I'm fully there, tasting my food, savoring the smells, feeling the textures in my mouth. When I'm walking, I'm feeling my body walk. I'm feeling my feet, the connection with the earth, the wind across my skin as I move, the sounds and sights that are there to behold. I'm constantly engaged, using all my senses in ways to bring me out of my head and into the living moment. This is my true yoga practice. This is easier said than done, as the mind is always looking for something new to chew on. I highly recommend giving this a shot. However it works for you. Maybe you start with breath. Maybe you start with another sense. Hearing is a super strong one for me. So that's been one, and I'd even use noise canceling headphones with no sound on, just so I can be in a place of stillness. And then better wrangling the mind. The importance of being present carries over into the 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night too. Yo, that's it right there. That's what's happening. The presence is carrying over into the sleep. We're going to tap into that when I get back to the house. But I strongly support those thoughts, because there's been times when, after I've been meditating for like a few hours, or let's say for that week, let's say I got like a lot of time of meditation that week. So I'm like super focused. I'm like super in it. And then I'll go to sleep and I start hearing the noises of the house. Like maybe the heat or something will turn on, or a fan will turn on, and I'm like, and I wake up. And it's like my presence is just drawn into my body. Even when I'm asleep, I'm consciously knocked the fuck out. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what be happening. Alright. Since we spend most of our lives asleep, we need to learn to access more of our consciousness during these hours as well. If you are conscious throughout the day, this stream of consciousness permeates into the sleep state. This is why sleep is such a very important part of our life. Another way to look at this is the same consciousness that was there when you were a child is the same being living in you now as an adult. Your body has changed shape and experience has accumulated, but with the witnessing presence who was there from birth is still observing you until you die. I keep a picture of myself as a child around the house to remind me of the innocence that is still there hidden inside my inner child. Now that's real. I be hanging out with people from like high school and elementary school and college, and they are just like when I met them from whatever time I met them from. I'll hear that on the playback. Okay, let's see. I acknowledge this being in myself and others because I know this innocence still lives. It's only the accumulation of memories which cloud our current reality. We can live with innocence once again once the cloud is lifted. My asana practice sets the tone for my entire day. It creates in me a state of presence that lasts throughout the day. God, yes, and it feels amazing. Just then, I'll get off on the feels. Let me keep reading. It creates me in a state of presence that lasts throughout the day. When I step off my mat, I'm still observant in all that I am up to as I move about. It also works in reverse. When you are vigilant and watching, where you allow your energy to wander off into, you're not all over the place when you do your practice of asana. When you have been spacing out all day and you come to your mat, it's harder to gather your awareness back. That's why asana is not to be the end of your yoga practice. It is only the beginning. In the practice, the art of presence, you build and secure an energy that contributes to how conscious you are during your asana practice in life. That's why Patanjali in the sutras invites us to practice consistently over a long period of time with intensity. It gives us an accumulated benefit of storing that energy and using it for, moving vertically and not spreading horizontally. Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga, unlike other styles, is a dynamic moving form of yoga asana. It takes what Patanjali has said about asanas one step further by adding the therapeutic qualities. It cleanses and clears the nadis, the pathways, and we talked about the nadis, those in the meridians, those pathways. It cleanses and cures the nadis. It purifies all organs by making the body squeeze and move in different positions and pushing toxins through the skin, bowels, lungs, and bladder. In this tapas, purification of the niyamas, there is a calming of your body and mind that allows you to sit still in the heated asana, which Patanjali speaks. This is how it helps you with meditation. You put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and then sit there, and then you do it again and again and another one and another one. So then when you get into a familiar situation that is uncomfortable, or into an uncomfortable when you get into an uncomfortable situation, you may be able to find some familiarity, and then from there create some ease. It came out in the end. This is one of the main reasons for practicing asana in the spiritual aspect. Once the body is cleansed and purified, then you're prepared for sitting. The three best known asana in the Yoga Sutras are Padmasana, the traditional lotus posture, Siddhasana, another seated posture that requires less flexibility, and Sukhasana. I like those. Osho has a form of emotional cleansing called dynamic meditation, where through super active exercises you throw all bottled up emotional garbage, so you are then able to sit in meditation. He developed this because he saw it was not possible for people of this day and age to sit motionless for long periods of time. This still reigns hella true. Until the body is clear of that restlessness and the mind, restlessness that comes from physical and mental toxins. It will also be hard to sit long enough to go deeply in and connect with your original source. Ashtanga yoga method is a moving meditation. What life is after all, isn't it? Ooh, a moving meditation. And that's actually what got me into meditation. We're almost done. for the night. But I want to tap on that because yes, the stillness is the end goal. However, it's how we get there, and it's about enjoying the journey. If you're a moving person, me myself, heavy case of ADHD, and I found my ways around it. I had to say, all right, I'm not going to start with a seated meditation. I'm going to start with a moving meditation. I'm going to tire my body out to the point where it don't want to do anything, and then I'm going to meditate. I don't want to move. It's perfect. Simple. So we have to find ways to work for us. Okay. It prepares us to move and breathe and be conscious of whatever shows up in our everyday living. Ooh, there we go. That's how that moving meditation helps. Asana is only for 1 or 2 hours a day. To carry it over into everything we do is the true meaning of practicing yoga, not just being able to wrap your leg around your head. So all y'all people who want to get your 1 day a week, nah, come on, make it a practice. Maybe you don't do 1 day a week. Maybe you don't do 1 hour long practice a week. Maybe you do 4 15-minute practices a week. Then from there, you at least have the buildup of you doing it different days. Then your body's feeling it a little bit better. It's not like, oh, I'm going to beat my body up this 1 day and then recoup the next. Maybe you just do sun salutations 4 days a week. Something little like that. It can build from there. The root source of Ashtanga yoga is the 8 step or limbs, asana. The root source of Ashtanga yoga is in the 8 steps or limbs. Asana is but one aspect. I tell my students, whatever I see you do on the mat, most likely, that's how you do it living off of the mat. And I thoroughly agree with that, like to the umpteenth degree. So next week we're gonna go into pranayama, which is breath work. The rest of the 8 limbs. We're gonna go into pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. We're gonna go into dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, which is like samadhi. We'll get into that one because they got a few pages on describing that. We'll get into that. But yeah, that'll be next week. So come on in, join us. If you're tapping into the live on IG, you can join the chat in the Zoom room where we'll get some discussion popping. The website is thefloatingyogi.com. Monday we're book clubbing. Tuesday we're flowing. So we're actually practicing Ashtanga. Again, by donation, sign up on the website, thefloatingyogi.com. It's pinned in all the chats. And then Thursday we're back at Midday Meditations. And Saturday, Float and Flow, we're getting it in. We're ready to go. And Sunday we're back here in UE Center, and we're going to be growing. Elevated Sift and Flow, and that's at 12 p.m. So 6 p.m. tomorrow, same time as today, and 12 o'clock on Thursday, and 10:30 on Saturday, 12 o'clock on Sunday. One of those days I'll see you here. You can check the website for any of the other details. And one other awesome thing that's happening is the Halloween yoga getaway. My homie Yamas helping me put it on, and with Surreal Audio Solutions, DJ Thrill helping me piece this together. Blue Third Eyes coming through with the photography, the videography, gonna get us with the sauce. With the sauce! We got some swag bags coming through with Finnipreneur. I'm excited. There's a few rooms left, and there's some discounts on the tickets. Hey, so check them jokes out before they gone, because you got like 2 more weeks until tickets are down. Woo! With that being said, thank you again, UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, Surreal Audio Solutions, DJ Thrill, Born to Fly Gym. There's two more. If I fail to remember them, I'm going to remember you next time and put you in the credits. Oh, and also, the only way out is in. Get the book. Peace and love, kings, queens, gods.